This is Inside Town Hall, a behind-the-scenes look at city government and the issues affecting you and your family.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Inside Town Hall. I'm your host, Madeline Shields. Coming up on the program, we learn about the organization and businesses that are trying to improve business and quality of life right here in Sioux Falls. We have a lot to talk about. Stay with us.
Sioux Falls Parks and Recreation has part-time positions available to supervise our open gym programs. Flexible schedules, afternoon, evening, and weekend opportunities are available. Apply online today. Great jobs, great experiences. To find your job, go to siouxfalls.org/parks-jobs.
Well, welcome back. In the past 2 decades, the city of Sioux Falls has grown by leaps and bounds, and that is no accident. Joining me today is City Councilor Rick Kiley and his guest, Jason Ball, who is the new president and CEO of the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. And we have the director of the City of Sioux Falls Community Development Department, Daren Ketcham. Thanks for joining us today for Inside Town Hall. Let's talk a little bit about why is it so important to have these folks bringing development to Sioux Falls.
It's extremely important. I have often stated different times during my tenure as a city councilor that the progress Sioux Falls has made and we continue to realize day in and day out, it doesn't happen by accident, and it certainly isn't just a result of city government, the work that city government does. It's really a collaboration with all of the different businesses and agencies that exist within the city, and the Sioux Falls Chamber of Commerce is huge in that regard as well as others. And then certainly Daren's department with economic development plays an extremely key role in that as well. So I thank the two of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jason, you're relatively new to Sioux Falls in a new position. Tell us what your reaction is to coming to Sioux Falls, what you see, and what do you see for the future? And first off, but let's tell us a little bit about what the area of Chamber of Commerce is.
Yeah, well, let's begin with the organization. We are two things. We are the voice of business and industry for the business community of Sioux Falls, right? We represent 2,100 members right now, and that equates to over 84,000 employees in the Sioux Falls area. And we take that work very seriously. The other thing that we are is the base economic driver for the entire community. Now, we don't work all the projects, we don't do all the work. We do that in partnership with a lot of groups that, certainly with the city and other folks that'll be on this show today. As you mentioned, I'm new here. I've been on the job now for about 10 months and have loved what I've seen in this community. The thriving sectors that we have in healthcare and finance and manufacturing and other business sectors here has just been so excited to get plugged into and work with. The other thing I think I've been so excited about is how many people we have pulling in the same direction, right? I think we'll talk a lot about today how we all win together by doing this work of growing this economy together. And we're trying to do everything we can to play our role in that, but it takes a lot of people to help get these projects across the finish line.
Okay, and that's where we turn to Daren Ketcham, who is the City of Sioux Falls Community Development Department Director. What is your role, and tell us about your department?
Well, the Community Development Department has 3 different divisions that it's comprised of. We have economic development, affordable housing, and public parking. And so a lot of those things work together. Each of those people on those teams have opportunities to work on projects together. Some of them are independent, but all of those teams work with our private sector partners. We work with our other government partners, our Chamber of Commerce, the Development Foundation, the state with the Governor's Office, and the State Housing Authority. And so we have our role, that is the city, but largely we work as a team to approach economic opportunities in Sioux Falls. And we focus a lot of our efforts on bringing new companies to Sioux Falls, and we try to not forget, though, the best economic opportunity comes from companies that are already here. And so retaining those businesses and helping them expand in our community is really a focus of our organization and all of our organizations. We understand the value that the businesses that are here provide. Now, some of the other things, though, we talk about housing. And housing certainly has its challenges in Sioux Falls and throughout South Dakota and America. I mean, frankly, housing is a challenge everywhere you go, and every community addresses it in a different way. We've tried to take a holistic approach in Sioux Falls, and we know that we can't build ourselves out of this challenge. And so we look at creating good jobs. We look at providing education and trying to provide that next generation with a greater opportunity. And there's just so many people that it takes to get that done. But I think we're fortunate in Sioux Falls that we have all of these people working together to create a brighter opportunity for everyone in Sioux Falls.
As a representative of the city, you have these folks who are, working with existing businesses, bringing new businesses in. What are some of the challenges, I guess, you see with like what Daren said about you bring these people here to Sioux Falls? How do you make sure that the wages they can afford to live here in Sioux Falls and have benefit of the quality of life we have?
Affordable housing is one of our challenges, and if we want to attract a workforce, we have to have a community which they can live in and stay within their means as well too, and that's where Jason's department, or not Jason necessarily, but Daren's department plays a very key role in ensuring that happens, because we actually do have a housing development within Sioux Falls, or the responsibility of Daren's department, where they help to ensure through federal grants and money that the city actually makes available, as well as other outside groups, to help ensure that there is affordable housing available.
Tell me a little bit about the benefits that businesses have when they belong to the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I think first and foremost, they have that voice, whether it's in Washington, in Pierre, or in Carnegie Hall right here in Sioux Falls. We bring that voice of their perspective in terms of thinking at the highest strategic level, what's going to move this economy forward, what's going to move this community forward, and help everybody have more economic opportunity here. We also have the benefit of getting to hear from all of these industry sectors as well. So anytime someone joins the chamber, we sit down with them and help craft that membership experience, and we are trying to find other ways to bring more business visibility for people that are just trying to raise awareness about what their business is and what they do. We're trying to find ways to help people plug into some of these economic advancement programs and partnerships that we're doing. A little while later, we'll hear about the Forward Sioux Falls program and what that is doing. It's really about finding what each member individually is most interested in at the life cycle of their business and at that time of life for them, and trying to match that up with the programs that we have. Lucky for us, we've got so much going on. There's plenty of opportunity there.
What do you see as your role in partnership with Jason and trying to move forward with Sioux Falls?
Well, having that immediate input from the business community that can tell us what they're seeing for the current conditions of the local business environment. It's very difficult for us to get out to thousands of businesses in Sioux Falls, and so that's one of the things that we're able to do is from a broader perspective, we can go to the chamber that does have that opportunity to engage each of those businesses, and so we try to not duplicate efforts. We have such limited resources that we rely on each other to fulfill these different roles, and so it's just really great that we can get that, and the chamber team has been part of our business retention and expansion programs, and so we understand as we're out there promoting Sioux Falls and helping businesses grow that the chamber's out there and we have a consistent message. So no matter who you're talking to about growing the economy of Sioux Falls, you're getting a consistent message and consistent results.
So if a business is a medium size and they want to expand, what's their first, who do they go to? Do they go to the Chamber of Commerce, say, help us do this, or what's the process?
I really think that's a great avenue, a service that the Chamber does provide. They provide exactly that type of service for them. And if Sioux Falls is growing on average 3,500 to 5,000 people a year, and it's really good that we are, because for our businesses to continue to expand and for us to attract new businesses, we do need that workforce as well too. But no, the Chamber fills that role very nicely.
Well, if I could address that as well, I think Director Ketcham just mentioned the consistency of service. One of the great reasons that we have so much collaboration here and the great benefits to the business community from that is if there is a business that's going through a growth phase and they're saying, look, we need to add another 50 people or another 50,000 square feet onto our facility, there are multiple access points. So some of them that have a familiarity with the Chamber can sometimes do come to us. We're happy to either work with them directly or get them directed to the right organization. Many of those will approach the city first because that's been their historical point of contact, and likewise Daren will consistently plug us in or other groups in. The other group I want to bring into this is the Development Foundation that does excellent work in expansion opportunities. If people are looking again to add people or add workforce or just add space, they do a fabulous job with that too. All of us work together enough that we're able to direct each other to the right place. And then on top of that, you can layer in the state program, the governor's economic development group that we all coordinate with too. So all of us know where the resources are. Those businesses can start really at any place in that system and pretty reliably, I think, find their way to the right set of resources in a direct fashion that everyone's going to help them have what they need to grow.
And Jason and the staff at the Chamber have been addressing the workforce issue as well too, and they've had a series of what are called sector breakfasts, and I'm going to ask Jason maybe to expand on those a little bit more, because I had the opportunity to attend one just a few weeks ago along with Director Ketcham, and that focused on diversity in the workforce, and it was a very diverse panel that they had, and a lot of good information and suggestions came out of that. I found it very useful. I hope we actually have another one on diversity, but I'll let Jason expand on that a little bit.
Oh, very happy to. Thank you. The workforce program came out of the strategic plan from Forward Sioux Falls, which you're going to hear about here in this next segment. But through that workforce program department, and very much led by and in partnership with Southeast Tech, they began to see a need for just groups of industry sectors to get together and talk about their common needs, because that's where institutional organizations like ours can really bring some impact, is when like industries and like people have identified some common needs. So they've had industry breakfasts in the healthcare sector, manufacturing, other trades, technologies have gotten together, and those have really spun out some really great organizations that are, again, continuing this growth in workforce development that really needs to happen. So groups like Changing Perceptions, that is led by some industry partners, right? It's been a great set of dialogues. This most recent one that Councilor Kiley mentioned was really asking the questions both of industry and STI. How can we do a better job in making sure that educational advancement and paths towards that are made available, so that people maybe in communities that have not been able to historically access educational advancement are able to do that, so they can participate in this amazing growing economy that we're seeing. But to do that, you need to have the skills that are going to prepare you for those positions. So we're all, as a business and industry sector and education sector, we're asking ourselves some hard questions, really looking internally about what is it that we need to change so that we're serving this community better.
All right, well, great. And we've been speaking with Jason Ball, who's the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and Daren Ketcham, who is the Sioux Falls director of the Community Development Department. When we come back, we're going to talk more about economic development and prosperity in the city of Sioux Falls. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, Dr. Score here from Falls Community Health. It's that time of year again and time to get your annual flu shot. Influenza causes thousands of deaths per year, many of which are preventable by this vaccine. A common misconception is that the flu shot can cause the flu, but this is completely untrue. The flu vaccine itself is inactive. Any discomfort you feel afterwards is your body's reaction to the shot, preparing it to fight illness. Please get your annual flu vaccination. This is available at any hospital, clinic, or pharmacy near you.
Well, we are continuing our discussion on economic development in the city of Sioux Falls. And joining me is City Councilor Rick Kiley, and his new guests for this segment are Dave Rozenboom, who serves as the Management Committee for Forward Sioux Falls, and Rich Naser, President of the USD Discovery District and President of the Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. Let's talk a little bit about what these entities do and how they work together to benefit the city of Sioux Falls.
Well, again, they're both directly involved in driving the economy of Sioux Falls through different efforts. And our role as a city, we are supporting them in various ways, monetarily and in other ways as well, to help them to achieve their goals so that we can all ultimately achieve our goal, which is to see Sioux Falls continue to move forward in the positive direction that we have been. So, Rich and Dave, thank you very much for being my guests.
Welcome.
Well, let's start with Dave. What is Forward Sioux Falls? Explain a little bit about what you do there.
Sure. So Forward Sioux Falls is a joint venture between the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce and the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. And its sole purpose is to promote economic development in the Sioux Falls and surrounding area.
And it's been around since 1987, I understand, and has helped bring $52 million of enhanced economic development to the city of Sioux Falls. What does that mean in terms of the growth and the quality of life that we all enjoy here in the city?
Well, as you know, Sioux Falls is quite an amazing story in terms of its economic growth. And I think it's important to recognize that hasn't happened by accident. It's been an intentional effort. And I give the civic leaders of our community back in the mid-1980s a lot of credit for putting our community on the trajectory that we've been on. What they recognized at that time was how important it was to work collaboratively together, to focus on this not as a zero-sum game, like winners and losers, but rather if our goal is to make the pie bigger for all, then there's going to be greater opportunity for our residents of our community.
Okay, and let's turn to Rich Naser, who is wearing a couple of hats today. Talk first about the USD Discovery District. What is that?
You bet. Well, and I'll segue by saying actually both the USD Discovery District and the Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship were results of Forward Sioux Falls. Okay. So they were things that came out of programming and planning from the late 90s and early 2000s. But the USD Discovery District is an 80-acre innovation community that's being developed next to University Center in Sioux Falls, and eventually it'll be about 1.1 million square feet of mixed-use space, including research space, innovation business space, as well as some living in retail and hospitality. But it's a focus on leveraging the assets of our educational institutions, with USD being the lead, to create new high-paying jobs in new industry sectors. So eventually 2,800 people, and in the bioscience space, for example, the average salary in that is over $60,000 a year. So it's an economic development effort. It's a long-term focus on creating new industries and new opportunities for Sioux Falls citizens. So,
in the last segment, we did talk about affordable housing and attracting people, the workforce, to stay here in Sioux Falls. How does the Chamber of Commerce and work with you to reach all of those goals?
So the Forward Sioux Falls history, basically how we've done it is we've identified what challenges we might be facing in our community or what opportunities we have in our community. And then if you proverbially pool our time, our talent, and our treasure together to solve some of those challenges and opportunities is the way we go about it. So every 5 years we identify what are the priorities of the day, and then we work together to solve them. As we were coming out of the Great Recession, the Forward Sioux Falls focus would have been really focused on creating jobs. And you fast forward 5 or 6 years to today, and now perhaps our greatest limiting factor is developing a workforce that can fill the job growth that we've experienced.
Well, we have I guess record unemployment. Folks come to the city of Sioux Falls because they see that we have 1 to 2 unemployment rates and they look for these great paying jobs, but they get here and they realize that affordable housing is a difficult challenge. How do you help in that effort? Or both of you can answer.
So on the affordable housing front, I know Director Ketcham and Jason spoke briefly on that. There's no one-size-fits-all answer to that. We take a holistic approach to it. We recognize that it's a critical need. We work with the development community and the private sector to put product on the market that's suitable for really, hopefully, all of our citizens. But it is an ongoing challenge and will be for as far as we can see in the future.
And Ford Sioux Falls played a key role, I believe, in launching the Sioux Empire Housing Partnership out of former programs. So they've been active in that space for a decade or more.
That's correct.
The Discovery District, we're really trying to create the opportunities that don't require affordable housing, for lack of a better way of positioning it, but we're really focused on that part of the economy that's innovation focused, where the wages are significantly above the average. And the same thing with the Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship. Our average annual salary for our clients and graduates is over $70,000. So we're focusing on affordable housing by trying to help diversify the job and employment market, the career opportunities to be more competitive.
Now the question is how do you get these young people when they're graduating from college either to come back to South Dakota or to stay in South Dakota and to stay in Sioux Falls?
Well, I think that boils down to, do we have an attractive quality of life? When you think of college graduates today, when you think of anyone that's post-secondary age, they want a good place to live, a place of opportunity, a place that's safe, a place where they can get an education, where they can get a job, and have a good quality of life. And I think the proof has been in the pudding in Sioux Falls. We have been an attractive place and continue to be for those individuals.
And Councilor Kiley, what has the city of Sioux Falls been working on to, keep the brain drain from happening here?
Well, Dave really hit the nail on the head. I mean, a lot of it comes down to public safety and making sure that we have a police force that is adequately equipped and staffed, as well as fire department. They're all part of our very important public safety efforts. Our Parks and Rec program lends to the quality of life issues as well. And then outside our spectrum somewhat would be, the great quality, high quality of education that we have here from primary school up through secondary school and then post-secondary education that's available in the city as well. And then our great health system too. But we do collaborate with all of these entities as well too in an effort to improve that overall quality of life experience for our citizens.
Talk a little bit about what the Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship is.
Yeah, so we are a separate nonprofit, again, that was started by Ford Sioux Falls back in 2002, and we opened in 2004. But basically, we're what now they call an entrepreneurship super hub, and we didn't know we were creating that at the time we put it together. So we're an entrepreneurship center that has incubation programs, an accelerator program where we actually invest in early stage companies to try to get them off the ground and help them scale. We invest in and partner in equity funds, but we also provide physical space, and that's everything from collaboration space where people can come, kind of like a coffee shop environment, but a little more secure and focused on doing business, to co-working space, to actual, all the way to specialized wet lab space for companies. So we've been operating for since 2004. We've graduated, probably more than 30 companies, and they've created more than 728 jobs in Sioux Falls, again at that $70,000 average salary range.
So are these mostly young people that are coming to this, or are they just people who want to just try something new and start a business, and they turn to you for advice and for help?
Yeah. It actually runs the spectrum. So you have your recent or soon-to-be college graduates as one of the companies that went through our accelerator, to a person who's mid-career and decided to spin out, saw a problem, and start their own company. So it does run the gamut. But what we do is we do an assessment with those companies and help either provide them the resources directly or match them up with the other great resources that are in the community. So within Zeal, for example, we have the Small Business Administration, the Small Business Development Center, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, the Enterprise Institute, the Biotech Association. So we've really kind of created that one-stop location for people wanting to get different levels of assistance in either launching or scaling their company.
Okay. What do you see as the future of Sioux Falls as you move forward? Is there planning stages? Do you look out 5 years? Do you look at 10 years?
Well, if I could address that, I think one of the most significant changes that we're seeing in our community is just the increasing diversity that we're experiencing. And our public school system has been doing a phenomenal job of handling that circumstance and changing demographics. But it's really important now that our post-secondary education providers and our employer community embrace this. And I'm really excited about things that are going on around our community. We're having great conversations. We're taking really important action steps to create a brighter opportunity for all of our citizens.
Well, and I think when you talk about diversity, one way you can, it's easy, is you look at the languages that are in the Sioux Falls School District, and I think there are over 30.
Over 140
now,
different languages being spoken in the
I'm way
school
behind
district.
the times then, right? And so, that, has it been an easy task to embrace the new cultures that come to Sioux Falls and to get business people to hire our new immigrants?
So it's not an easy task. It's a difficult challenge. But the thing I'm excited about is employers recognize the need, that they're going to have the opportunity to play a greater role in bringing these students along and preparing them for the workplace. And so I'm really excited about what that'll mean for our future. I think if you look 5 and 10 years down the road, today we've seen it in our school districts, but tomorrow we're going to see it in our businesses.
Sure.
And they'll look very different, and we'll be better off for having embraced it.
As Dave mentioned, it is a challenge. However, it is a challenge that all of us that are sitting at this table are very willing to accept and to undertake, because after all, the results are going to benefit the city of Sioux Falls, the businesses within the city of Sioux Falls, and obviously our citizens, and especially our new citizens to this community and to this country.
And just quickly, if anybody out there is watching and they're thinking about starting a new business, what's your advice to them?
I would say contact Zeal or go to www.realzeal.com. But we can be at least a conduit to get them connected up with the right resources. But it's a great time to start a business in Sioux Falls and South Dakota. And I think you see that with things like Startup Weekend and 1 Million Cups and all the entrepreneurship groups and activities that are going on. It's a very supportive community, and the established business community is starting to embrace companies like First Premier Bank and other partners that we have at Zeal, and partner with other organizations, have really embraced that startup culture in Sioux Falls. So there's not really a better time, I think, to be an entrepreneur here.
And that's any kind of business you're talking about.
Any kind of business. No wrong door. The beauty of Zeal with all the different resources we have there is they may not be the right fit for our team directly, but the Small Business Administration, the Small Business Development Center, all those are located in one place in Sioux Falls.
And you can direct them where to go.
Yep.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you for joining us for Inside Town Hall, and that is our time. If you have any questions or want to find any more information out about what's going on in the city, you can go to siouxfalls.org. Thanks for watching.